Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another edition of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI, great folks over there, and of course brought to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, which we've dressed up a little bit. We got more Spurrier. There's not enough Spurrier in this restaurant. That's the problem. It's just you wouldn't even know who owns this restaurant or who's involved in it. But I think people like that, obviously, and it's great. And we love being here. We love being at this place. Today, our special guest will be Dan Cross, point guard from the first Final Four team at Florida. We'll talk to him about Final Four and all the stuff he does around here and play Yes, Nowhere. Maybe with him, Coach Spurrier will be on Monday. I do want to give some shout-outs. And, look, I appreciate everybody who does anything for our golf tournament to help stop children's cancer. But it's been unbelievable lately. The helmets keep pouring in. TCU just came in. Of course, they were in the national championship. I had to explain that to the person who got the helmet. But TCU came in. Colorado State came in. We're about 28 helmets we've got so far. It's unbelievable. And we're going to get more, even though I don't know what we're going to do with them. We'll figure out what to do with them. Other people, like I met with Adam this week, and the gift certificates he gave, the donation he made of a driver that he does every year, all the stuff he does for our tournament. This tournament would go away without Adam. I mean, he is unbelievable. The great folks at No Paul. No Paul's not a sponsor here, but I want to give them props. If you've not been there, it's right over on 34th across from the Y. I love that place. Great Mexican food. And they donated $150. We appreciate all people who do things for this golf tournament. It means so much to me. It means a lot to the people. It means a lot to my family because in my dad's name and everybody's here gets together for it. And it means a lot to the kids, most of all. The kids that are trying to fight pediatric cancer, which to me is one of the great causes. There's a lot of great causes, but that to me is one of the best ones. Anyway, that's all the shout-outs I'll do for today. But I may do another one Monday because who knows what we'll get over the weekend. It is time for us for the final time. This is going to bring a tear to my eye, I think. The Hand Law starting lineup. As we talked about, Chris Hand stepping away from the sponsorship after 2 years. May come back at some point depends on what he's doing. But the bottom line is we have appreciated him so much. And so for the last time, the Hand Law starting. By the way, we're still open for a new sponsor on that. I haven't pursued it aggressively. Let me just put it that way. I've been trying to overcome the loss of Chris Hand. But he's still around and great, and I can't wait to see him for lunch next time he comes to Gainesville. So the Hand Law starting lineup. Number one was, of course, yesterday was Anthony Richardson Pro Day. Other Gators were there, I heard, but there's no doubt about it. It was a pretty cool thing. Oh, but that is ironic, too, by the way, that on the last day of the Hand Law starting lineup, I forgot to read the reader on the last day of it. It's not intentional, and here's proof. The starting lineup is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. Again, thanks to Chris Hand. All right, so I was actually on a Sirius radio program last night. They asked me to come on and talk about Richardson. And I said, yeah, I love talking about him. We talk about him all the time on the radio. But they kept asking me about Pro Day. What did you see? Anything? I go, well, I didn't go. I didn't say that on the air, though. But obviously, I didn't go to Pro Day. Why would I go to Pro Day? I wasn't going to write anything about it. I didn't really care about it. I don't think I went to many Pro Days in my life. That was usually Robbie's job. But I said, look, I don't have to go to Pro Day to know he did great at Pro Day. He did great anytime there. He is showing off his wares, showing off what he can do physically, athletically. That's never been the question. He may be one of the greatest athletes. I'm just trying to think. I mean, you would put certainly Holloway in there, Grant Holloway. Guys like that, Tracy Calkins, greatest athletes of all time. I'd put Trinity Thomas in there. There's no doubt about it. But Anthony Richardson, you're gonna be. Well, I'd put Javon Curse in there. You're gonna have a hard time coming up with somebody that is better athlete than him. It's gonna be, can he play that position well? I keep, and like I told them, nobody knows, man. Nobody knows what he's going to do at the next level. He might be the next great quarterback. He might be Josh Allen. He might be Cam Newton. He might be. I don't think he'll be Cam Newton because Cam Newton's got attitude issues, but he might be Jamarcus Russell. I have no idea. I just know he didn't. He was put in a tough situation. Tough situation. Being a hometown guy. Remember, don't forget, he decommitted at one point. Hometown guy, though, having to deal with that issue, and then everybody wanted to play, and then he got hurt, and then made these great plays and got hurt, but so he didn't really play that much, and he gets to start in the worst game you could possibly start a quarterback. It was intentional sabotage, as far as I'm concerned, with Dan Mullen. He said, look, I'm going to show you guys this guy can't play, so you'll get off my back about Emory Jones. So he plays him against Georgia and an elite defense that I thought was better than anyone they've ever had. So anyway, all that said, we just have no idea. I can guess. We can all guess. We can talk about it. We can talk about the fact that he hit the ceiling of the indoor practice facility with a pass. We can talk about the fact that he did a backflip on the logo after he got done. All that he is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But nobody knows. And that's the problem I would have if I was picking in that top 4. Do I want to take a chance? Because that's what I'm doing. I am risking. I'm doing something. I'm going for it on the par 5 and 2, even though there's a lot of water up there and there's a little wind in my face. I'm still going for it because I think I can get there. That's basically what you'd be doing. I hope he does great. We all do. Anyway, also, Jervon Dexter did really well in his pro day, but I mean, pro day is what it is. I think almost for defensive linemen, it's a better indicator than it is for quarterbacks. Any quarterback can throw, most quarterbacks have good arms. Most quarterbacks are athletic. A lot of times you put the best player on your team, best athlete on your team at quarterback in high school, and then they kind of mature to that. Anyway. There we have it. Number 2 on the hand loss starting lineup. Opening day was yesterday, and I did watch a little bit of baseball. I watched the Braves, the last inning. Braves win. I watched a couple other games. That baseball, I don't even know what's called, extra innings. I think we get it free for the first week because they want to suck you in. And I was into it. I was flipping around watching the end of games, and it was good. Certainly, baseball seems like a better sport one game in. So let's all overreact, and we're going to overreact to this. You know that. But the pitch clock made the games go faster, but opening days are always slow because nobody's pitching the whole way. Nobody's throwing complete games. So there's a lot of pitching changes. So they're always slow on opening day. But it felt faster. The other thing, this was a great stat, 21 stolen bases on opening day. Last year there were 5. Guys maybe they're getting back to playing baseball instead of everybody just trying to hit home runs. But I did enjoy opening day, we had a discussion on the radio, Jeff and I, about how the NFL and the NBA are the most popular sports in the country. Now, not in Gainesville, Florida, not in Florida. But they are the most popular sports, and that's the way ESPN treats them. And I was like, you have to accept that. That's the truth. And he couldn't believe that. And I said, look, baseball's not that big a deal for a lot of people, and for them it's not. But yesterday was a good day to watch baseball. Now, am I going to watch it today? We'll see. I'm definitely not aware of that package. Number 3 on the hand loss starting lineup, Brandon Miller turned pro. And all I could think was, I wonder how Alabama fans will remember Brandon Miller. Will it be fondly? Will it be with a lot of respect? I mean, this was the best player in the country this year. There's no doubt in my mind about that. He was the best player in the country and had to deal with a lot of stuff, but of course, not as much stuff as a person who was killed had to deal with. He didn't pull a trigger. I don't even want to get into too much of it, okay? But it wasn't wrong place at wrong time, and Nado's looked like an idiot, and I think that's going to haunt Nado the rest of his life. But I wonder how Alabama fans will look back on Brandon Miller. 1 year here, had a great team, won the SEC, but let's face it, this team was supposed to win the national title and didn't even get there. So I don't know. I don't know how they will. I'm curious about that. Number 4, by the way, the Final Four is this weekend, and we'll talk about that in the Ben Eige Odell Realty games of the weekend. But there's not a lot of buzz, and I was listening to Kermit Davis. Kermit Davis was on Sirius FM radio today, actually driving in. And he was talking about the lack of buzz down there, that a lot of coaches didn't go this year and may not be going to the convention. And that's where a lot of the buzz comes from. But the reason is because of the transfer portal and everything. Their rosters have to be built starting in Thursday. Thursday is when the dead period ends. They've got to start building. This isn't like I've already got my roster. I've already got my recruits coming in. May have one scholarship I'll play with. No, you're building whole rosters. So they're ready. They know that this is the time they have to spend with their families, because they're not going to be able to spend any of the next 8 weeks. And it was a really fascinating thing that he said there, and that is part of what is going on with college basketball. There's also not a lot of buzz because I talked about this, I think, on Monday. We root for the underdogs, but in the end, we don't want 4 underdogs in the final. Now, UConn, you would say, is not an underdog because this is a program that's been there many times, won multiple national championships. But midway through the conference season, I think you would have considered them an underdog. And they weren't that high a seed. What are they at, 4? So anyway, you still want blue bloods in there. You want one, at least one. Somebody like Kansas or somebody. But I'm happy they're gone too. But it's funny. I was talking about this with somebody else. I think I'm more interested in the women's Final Four than the men's, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But it is, again, there's a lot more negative rooting possibilities. Now, I'll negative root Miami, but I'm not going to negative root FAU. I love Dusty May. He's a great guy. Finally, on the hand-loss starting lineup, baseball this weekend has Auburn, and we'll see what they're able to do. Auburn, not a great team, but, it's baseball, man. Things can happen. But more interesting will be how the starting pitching does, because the starting pitching has been really good at home, but they went on the road for a series last weekend, and the Friday, Saturday, Sunday all had issues, including Caglione walking 8, I think it was. So I'm curious to see how they do, but eventually they're going to have to go on the road and pitch well, as we know. But this is a great stat. Florida has won 10 straight weekend series. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good number. And that's all you want to ever do. That's why I loved Bobby Cox. It was always about win the series. Move on from there. All right, that's going to do it for our hand-loss starting lineup. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the great Dan Cross. We'll talk to him about the first time ever I saw the Final Four. Although I didn't see it. I didn't actually go to that one. But he did, and he'll tell us all about it. Here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org, or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people. Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And now we go to our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line to talk to one of the great Gators of all time, Dan Cross. Dan, how are you today?
Good morning, Pat. Doing well, and yourself?
Good, man. It's great. I wanted to talk to you for a number of reasons. One is we want to get to all the camps that you run and giving back to the community. But since it is the Final Four this weekend, I would imagine a few memories come flashing through.
For sure. They don't leave.
Is there one that stands out for you that you think about a lot that happened during that game? I mean, we know how the game went, but as far as just the whole week?
Pertaining to the Final Four weekend or just the overall match? I think just, the hype that comes along with the actual Final Four. I think it's every kid's dream that wants to play basketball at the highest level collegiately to get to the Final Four. And, I think two things is, no player ever wants to go back to school too early to go back to classes, and it's around spring break. So that's always a thought, right? Is how far can we go? And then secondly, there's only 4 teams left, and the entire world is watching 4 teams try to win a championship. And so just that experience, it just lived up to the hype. I think that's what I, remember the most, is just that attention that everyone seeks and everyone wants to accomplish. And we were able to do that.
The famous story about that team was that Coach Kruger put a map or something up there that had how many wins you needed to get to the tournament, to the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
Because that was just a goal, to get to the tournament. There was nobody talking about Final Four before that year, was there?
No, I think, secretly, silently, I think, those were goals that we had, but, from the outside looking in, it was, there the famous, logo and slogan, find a way, win one game at a time. And that board allowed us, it was a vision board really at the end of the day. And, if you understand a vision board, you just want to take this one step at a time. And that's what that vision board allowed us to do, is to win one game at a time, to find a way how to win each game. I don't care if it was an ugly win, a pretty win, just as long as we find, as long as we escape with the win and move on. That was the goal, and we were able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and of course, Coach Kruger now in the Hall of Fame, which is a deserved honor with all the stuff he's done at different schools, including here. That was
Yes.
an amazing year because, again, it came out of nowhere. But when you look back at that team, it was there are examples at Florida where the talent is so good they win, like 06 and 07. But that team and the 2014 team were the example of the sum was greater than the parts. And the way you guys found a way to work together. You had DeClerc who could do one thing, and that was rebound. You had Dimitri who had the hook, what do you think Dimitri was? 6'6", maybe?
6'6", on a good day, 325, on a bad day, 325, But he was the most athletic 6'6" big guy that I've probably ever been around. When Steve Spurrier wants him to play football instead of basketball, like, that says a lot. So,
Absolutely.
he could dunk. He came in as a freshman at 350. When I met him in high school, we both met at the Kentucky camp when Billy Donovan was recruiting both of us under Patino. He came in at 350 and was dunking at 350. So these are just things that he was just gifted. You didn't see a lot of fat on him. He wasn't a fat guy. He was just a big boned guy that just knew how to move, light on his feet, and a great person and a great teammate.
And then obviously you had Craig Brown, who was a sharpshooter there. But I mean, you were a fair 3-point shooter yourself.
I like to score. I mean, that's what I was known for coming out of high school. And, was just a scoring point guard and, maybe a little bit ahead of time when it comes to how certain guards now are being titled. But, yeah, I was just a point guard that knew how to score and put the ball in the bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that season was special. You got a break with UConn when Daniel Marshall missed those free throws.
Yes,
and then after that point, you have to be thinking, well, we're going to the Final Four now. We're going to find a way to win this game again. And
for sure.
I can remember Craig Brown running those curls and you hitting them with those passes and hitting like 3 threes in a row. That was the one memory I have of that game.
Yes, and it was a great memory, and it put us over the top. I think the one good thing, about that particular Final Four team is, the backcourt impact that not only Florida had on the game, but the SEC had on college basketball. Just there were a lot of great backcourts. And to be considered one of the top backcourts in the country that year, he took a lot of pressure off of me. I took a lot of pressure off of him. And when personalities, a lot of times, in this case, opposite personalities match, opposite skill sets match, the mentalities match, and the chemistry matched. So, that's all of those are good ingredients for a chance to win any basketball game, because most likely, the last 5 minutes, the ball is going to be either in the point guard's hands, in the shooting guard's hands. Someone in the backcourt is going to make a decision whether to send a person to the free throw line to hit some key free throws, or to hit a big shot, or to put someone in position, for an easy shot. So that's what we both brought to the table.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, obviously the last game came down right to the end, and I insist it was not a charge, but
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that, Dooley.
But I mean, you guys played an amazing game again. Where you were right there. What I also remember about your career was the following year, you had to basically shoulder all the burden because guys had left,
Yes.
and I think you averaged like 17 that year, right? And you did an amazing job just to get Florida into the tournament. That was a year where you just to get in the tournament was kind of enough because you guys struggled to recapture what you had captured the year before.
Yes. It's not a year that I spent too much time thinking about. You kind of explained it all. It was probably a year where I probably had a chance to leave and experience, you know, trying to get drafted or what that would be like. But I thought and was told that, a lot of that burden would not fall on me, but it did. And I did my best to try to represent the university and my team and, try to get us back, And, it is a very hard feat. It is not as easy as what fans, coaches, players think it is to go to a Final Four and repeat, or go to a championship and repeat a championship. It's just, when that target is on your back, Dooley, it is a different preparation on both sides, from the head coach to the players to the opponent. It is just a different preparation. So, I'm honored to have worn, the Gator colors, the Gator logo, to put Gator basketball on the map and to do my best to represent what college basketball and Florida basketball stands for.
Yeah, it's kind of neat that we now have two teams from the state playing in the Final Four. Not that I'm a fan
Yeah.
of Miami, but it is amazing to have that. And of course, I think Nova won the Division II or whatever it was
Yeah.
championship. The
Yep.
junior colleges are dominating. I read a thing today about all that. State of Florida's changed a lot. I mean, you came all the way from Carbondale, Illinois.
Yep. Yep. Just for the Gator fans, there's, and we know this, there's something about Florida, first of all, that would attract a guy like me all the way from Big Ten country to come to SEC country and what I believe is, one of the best states in the United States. It's warm. It has everything that any college player would want. And it also has great talent right here in the state of Florida. Like, you don't have to really recruit too much out of the state. Players want to come here. So, like, at the end of the day, like, if FAU, and no disrespect to Miami or FAU, like, if they're getting these kids, and top talent, like, we shouldn't have a problem. We shouldn't have a problem with that either. So I'm glad to see that FAU and Miami are both representing Florida, and hopefully one of those two Florida schools will win the championship. That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah, and obviously you're representing because you've got a couple of kids still at school here. One of them on the football team, and
Yes.
he's graduated, right, already, and your daughter is also, I think, getting ready to graduate.
Correct. Yeah. So my son Daniel, we call him Champ DC. He just graduated with his communications degree from Florida. Very happy, proud father. Has one more.
Is he going to be
year
a
of
broadcaster?
eligibility.
Is he going to go into
I-
sports media or?
I've advised him not to, Dooley. That is a very
There's
a
no
very
money in
grinding.
it.
No, not at all. So I shared that with him, but he's in the master's program with sports management, with the sports management department. So hopefully something within sports will resonate and take interest for him to find a passion that he can enjoy doing and make good money doing it. So excited to see him graduate, finish as a receiver, and support him with his final year of his football season. And my daughter is graduating also in May proud father of that. And she's headed off to law school,
Oh, really?
in the fall. Yeah, so just Florida has been very kind and gracious and favorable to not only me, but to my son and daughter as well. So very proud to be called a Gator.
It's kind of funny because my daughter went to Florida and went to law school too. So, see, we think alike.
We do. We do.
Uh,
Good genes. Good
yeah,
genes.
that's right. All right, I do want to talk too about the camps that you run because it's such a great thing you do, and I think are you doing it in 3 cities now? Carbondale, Orlando, and Gainesville.
Well, my summer camps are just Orlando and Gainesville, but there are 3 camps. One at Queen of Peace, one at St. Francis Catholic Academy.
Right.
Then we have one here in Orlando, where I reside, where I live at now. But I also have some of the top high school showcases, holiday showcases. One in Orlando, one in Gainesville, and now one back in Carbondale, Illinois as well. So just keeps me around the game and allows me to give back to the game. And yeah, definitely looking forward to my summer camps.
Yeah, I mean, why did you kind of get involved in that? Yeah, I think you started in Gainesville, didn't you? Doing that?
Yeah. Well, I started in Illinois. Actually, I started in Carbondale my
Okay.
first year out, a couple years out of school. And my dad, just encouraged me just to, you know, this was a fun way for the family to give back to a community. All of my brothers played, younger brothers played Division I basketball. I'm the oldest of 5, 4 boys and 1 girl. So we were able to be around the game, give back to the game. And it was a time that I could be around my family with everyone being so far out. And it just grew from there, then added on Gainesville, added on Orlando. And it was just a way to be around the game. Um, it was the most therapeutic feeling and emotion that I've experienced since not being a part of the game and when I stopped playing. Nothing else can fulfill that high.
All
So
right.
it was the closest thing to fulfilling that high of emotion. Um, Wanting to get in college basketball, but that never really resolved itself. So this is the next best thing to being a coach.
Well, and you, I don't know how many people know how much you did play a little bit over in overseas, right? Too, after you got done with your career.
10 years, buddy. 10
That's a
years.
long time,
10
man.
years. Yeah, very long time. Very blessed to see the world. I've lived in 10 different countries. The goal was to play in the NBA, and I was that journeyman that made it close. I was in vet camp last week of vet camp. That didn't work, and I was tired and frustrated with doors opening and closing. So just decided to make the most out of it by going to countries like Italy and Greece and Turkey and Israel, Cyprus, Finland,
Saw the world.
Venezuela, Dominican,
Yeah.
all over the world, man. So I've been blessed to meet a lot of cool people, develop a lot of friendships over the world. Now it's called networking. So my network is a large spider web of friends from all different races, religions, cultures, beliefs, backgrounds, and you figure out that the world is pretty small at the end of the day.
Wow, that's great stuff. Before we let you go, we have to play Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. We play this with everybody on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. Big Mills Cheesesteak is the sponsor of Yes, Nowhere, Maybe, where you answer 3 questions. Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. If you
Okay.
go there and you mention the podcast, you get free fries with the order. Number 1, you watch the NCAA tournament and you root against Duke because of that game in the Final Four.
Yes, see, we in all 3 different languages. Yes, see, and we. Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
well, I do too. So we have something in common there. Number 2, your second All SEC selection was better for you than your first because of what you had to handle.
No.
Oh, the first one was the one?
Yes.
Because,
Yes. First one was sweeter.
yeah, because it was basically kind of a validation, of what you'd been able to do that year.
It was a validation of it was a validation of what I did that year, being honored by, some of the greatest college coaches and peers not only in the SEC, the Patinos of the world, and Nolan Richardsons, like all these guys, but these are the top coaches in the country. So, and the sports writers as well. So for that to be validated, meant that, I was good.
Yeah.
I didn't become good overnight. Like I was good the year before, coach. I was good the year. Just play me. The more you play me, the more as good it's going. So yes, so that was all of my validation. For the hard work that I put in, for sure.
All right, and finally, number 3, you got your hand slapped one time trying to steal food from Dimitri Hill.
Ha. Well, it was more than once. That was a few times. But yeah. So the one thing that you don't do is you don't mess with Hook's food. So yeah, you don't mess with him. First of all, you don't mess with him, and then you definitely don't mess with his food.
Who gave him that nickname, the Meat Hook? I don't even know.
I would like to say I did.
You might have, yeah.
Yeah, the Hook, because I'm pretty sure that I did. Again, I've known Hook since I was 15, 16 years old when we met in high school at Kentucky camp, and he was doing the same thing then when I met him in high school as he was in college. So it was nothing new for me. So Meat Hook was the name, and then when I didn't want to say meat, we just call him Hook.
Hook. All right. That is Yes, Nowhere, maybe with the great Dan Cross. We appreciate you being on, buddy. And thanks a lot for your time. And we'll see you soon, okay?
Always honored, Pat. Always honored, man. Thank you.
All right, my man. Thank you. Dan Cross joining us on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. We have to take a break. When we come back, we have a lot of things to get to, including an interesting thing with the Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. You're watching another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org, or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate all of our great sponsors and all the things that we have going on here. It is kind of a weird week for me. I don't know, it's just kind of like there's nothing to watch. I needed stuff to watch. And I was like, I guess I've become so centric to watching sports that last night, I found something, but it was an old Saturday Night Live. But anyway, it's just kind of weird. What else is weird? What else is not weird is that it's time for us to do the Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We love doing it. Hesser and Kipke, of course, the Gainesville law firm specializing in the area of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, you should. Or you could just check out their 55 five-star Google reviews, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. Number one, Florida baseball has 10 guys on the opening day rosters, which was Thursday. That's the most in the country, the most of any team. Hats off to Kevin O'Sullivan. He's done a great job of building the talent base here. I know some people don't always get the results they want. Nobody's ever thrilled unless you win the whole thing, and he's done that, like that nobody else has done. But most players on the opening day rosters of any school, and there's a lot of great schools. And no different is this year when Florida's sitting there and they're number 3 in the country, but they're not even number 1 in the conference according to the rankings, and may not be the best team in the conference. So, but he's done just an amazing job. That's a pretty cool thing. Number 2, this was from John Mara, the owner of the Giants, talking on I think it was on Rich Eisen or some other show. And he was talking about his coach, Brian Dable, and he is, of course, was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and fans there didn't like him, and he kind of went to the NFL, and you're like, forgot about him. Then all of a sudden became the Giants head coach, and we were a little stunned, and they had that great year last year where they came back. But he said this, this is what John Mara said, don't go from Bono to Bozo. And that is a philosophy that every person should take. Don't just because you've got it made, and when they introduce you at Rangers games, people go nuts and give you a standing ovation, and when you walk down the street, people are throwing money at you and stuff, and that people love you, that's great. But you don't go to be a bozo, which we've seen so many terrible, frustrating, and tragic stories about people doing that, where they think they are going to be famous forever and big forever. And so I don't think he's shooting at Brian Dable as much as he's saying, as a rule, for everybody. And he's had some guys who became bozos in that organization. There's no doubt about it. Number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things, the NIT was played, the final. Did you know? Do you have any idea who won the NIT? I bet you couldn't guess it in a million guesses. North Texas won the NIT. Beat UAB in the final. I think we'd all lost interest in it. Immediately after the game, it was announced that their coach is going to Texas Tech as the new coach. Grant McCaslin, never heard of him. But I guess he was a hot guy, and they've been negotiating. Anyway, he kept his focus together, and they won the NIT. The interesting thing is, all the jobs are filled now. So all the talk about famous coaches going here and there. Now, again, you never know what could happen between now and next basketball season with somebody leaving, but that's the way it is. North Texas won, and now they go to the AAC, and I guarantee you the AAC is saying, home of NIT champs. Well, you didn't win it in the AAC. You won it in the other conference, Sun Belt. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We need to get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. And look, the FSU game got rained out, and so everybody who entered is qualified. I'm just giving it carte blanche. So you're all qualified. I've got all your names down. Today I am giving John Julian his prize right here, Game of My Life, my reissued book, and $25 from Leonardo's at Millhopper. So he's going to meet us here a little bit later in the show, after the show. So our qualifier for this game, for this week, is a very simple one. Who's going to be in the national championship game? It won't be North Carolina. Who's going to be in the national championship game? So you're basically picking the winners of both games Saturday. So you may say UConn and San Diego State. You may say FAU and Miami. You got to give me both names, and you got to get them both right, and that will qualify you for this week's Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Let us get to the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. The Gator of the Week are all the Gators. They're Gators of the Week, and they were all the Gators that were elected to the Hall of Fame. It's quite an honor, and it's tough to get in, and it's getting tougher every day. As the great gymnastics and softball teams get outside the 10-year cutoff where you have to have been gone for 10 years, there's more great players, great athletes that are going to be part of this, and it's going to be hard for anybody who is not in yet to get in. So I laud them all, especially Kelsey Bruder, who I loved when she was a player, and Mark Valdez, great pitcher. I'm glad he got in. He deserved to be in. Lauren Embry is another one. Skip Foster getting in is so great, former Florida women's coach, swimming coach, and also administrator over there. I love Skip to death. Jabbar Gaffney is an interesting one, and I brought this up on the radio. But Jabbar Gaffney's getting in, and certainly the stats, the numbers, everything, totally think it's deserved. He should be in. There's no doubt about it. But Jabbar Gaffney, if you remember, broke into the locker room, or not break in, but he got into the locker room, stole some wallets, stole some money, stole some jewelry from the players in a high school championship game, and got in trouble for it. And Florida took him back. And I remember he was asked, "Do you think you owe Florida anything?" He goes, "No, I don't owe him anything." Okay. I remember that. I'll never forget that. He also threw a guy's moped in a lake. So, but he's going to the Hall of Fame. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm hoping there was at least discussion about that. At least discussion. And I know people that are on that committee, and I'm going to ask them about that. But still, congratulations to everybody who got in. You're Adams Ribco to Go Gators of the Week. Let us get to the Ben Eige Odell Realty games of the weekend. And this always happens to me. Now I got to do this. I got to enter my passcode because it won't give it to me. All right, the Odell Realty Ben Eige House of the Week is in Seven Devils between Boone and Banner Elk, with great access to all ski slopes. It's listed for $675,000 and with a great log cabin feel. Reach out to him to find more. Ben Eige, he is at Odell Realty. His number is 704-201-4264. Ben Eige Realty, and that is our House of the Week. Our games of the week, and we've got a lot of them. Baseball, of course, starts 6:30 Friday night, 6:30 Saturday, which is unusual, and 1 o'clock on Sunday. I think all those games are on the Plus. I'll be able to watch them. That's okay. Gymnastics, I was trying to find out information about gymnastics, and it just was not forthcoming. I know they're in Pittsburgh, and I know that it started last night, and I think they may be going at 7 tonight, but I couldn't find anything. And maybe I didn't look hard enough or good enough. But I don't think it's on any kind of TV. But maybe you'll find it. Just say it into your Contour speaker. That's all I can say. I'm sorry. I apologize for not doing a better job of that. Softball's playing against, who do they have? South Carolina? At South Carolina. 6, 12, and 1 are the Friday, Saturday, Sunday games. The 12 o'clock game on Saturday is on the SEC network. And, of course, women's basketball, which, again, I said maybe more intriguing. LSU, Virginia Tech. LSU's given up 2 points. 7 o'clock on ESPN tonight, right? Pretty sure it's tonight. Yeah, it is tonight. And then the other game is at 9, but it won't be at 9, obviously. 11.5-point favorite South Carolina is over Iowa. That game, I still want to watch it. Watch Caitlin Clark and watch how they handle it. And, of course, the basketball game Saturday, FAU, San Diego State, 6:09 p.m. start. Miami and UConn is at 8:49 is when they say it's going to start. We'll see. And all those games, of course, are on CBS. So those are our Ben Eige Realty games of the weekend. This, that, and the other. Okay, so here's this. I mentioned it earlier. This, that, and the other, of course, brought to you by our great friends at Ironwood, our great friends at Ballyhoo Grill, and, of course, our great friends at Darshackow Insurance. We love them all. And it could be a Ballyhoo weekend. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be an Ironwood weekend. I know that. I think that's where I'm heading after this. All right, this was, I remember sitting in another restaurant, and the AD from Eastside was there, and we were talking about Anthony Richardson decommitting. And I mentioned that before, but people forget that he decommitted at one point, and that we didn't know Florida was going to get him. And we talked, and he was telling me great things about him. What a great family, good guy he is, and everything. And they were really rooting for him out there. And I was hoping he would commit, and of course he did. And then came 2021. That was the 2021 season when he would be on the field, unbelievable things would happen. But he kept getting hurt, the hamstring against South Florida. I remember as he's running into the end zone, I was like, well, Emory Jones, you might as well just get in the portal right now. And then he pulls a hamstring as he crosses the goal line. And so he can't play for the next 3 or 4 games. But people thought it was going to be great. Well, this, that, and then the other is that he is going to make a lot of money betting on himself, as Billy Napier said. Looked at the quarterbacks, teams that needed quarterbacks. Even though it was a loaded quarterback class, he said, I'll fit right into that. And he's betting on himself. He's about to make a lot of money. He's also a quarterback who was 6 and 7 in college. Not all his fault. The answer he gave about why his teams didn't win more was a bad answer. Again, he's not the greatest, and we've talked about this before, guy at saying certain things about certain things. Remember, sometimes he'd talk about how the pressure was getting to him, and he'd never say that. Anyway, I'm so happy for him. I hope he goes high. I hope he makes a lot of money. I hope he does great. I'm going to be rooting so hard for him. But when people ask me about him, I tell them the honest truth. I don't know what he's going to do because I'm not sure. He's a great quarterback. I know he's a great athlete. There's no doubt about it. All right, that is our this, that, and the other. Finally, Pat Dooley's story time. Because the Florida relays are coming up this weekend, I think they're this weekend, right? Yeah. I was reminded of the Florida relays story I have. That it's not a great story, but I remember sitting there. I was a student at Florida, and my job was to type in all of the results, and I mean all the results. Everybody, what their name was, what their affiliation was, what their time was. And that was my job on a typewriter. And I did that, and it's rained. Sometimes it would get wet in there, and they'd still be running and everything. And I'd be questioned about certain. Hey, you had 0.9. It was 0.8. I had to be told to get it straight. So this job is not hard. That's my point. There were guys cutting down limbs in my house the other day, and I was like, "And you're having to write a story, Pat?" It's not hard. However, I am dealing with arthritis in both my fingers because of all the typing. Because I'm a 2-finger typist, so I'm blaming the Florida relays for that. That was only 1975. So anyway, that's my Pat Dooley Storytime, brought to you as always by our good friend Mike Jordan at Eastlake Pediatrics, sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks to Dan Cross. Thanks again to Chris Hand. Salute, man. And again, the starting lineup is open if anybody wants to be a sponsor. We've had a couple people inquire and haven't heard anything back, but we'll get one and we'll enjoy it. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley. Oh, I did want to mention one more thing. The Billy Napier speaking on the 11th to the Gainesville Quarterback Club, which is the sponsor. I think we have an ad that runs on that, and we appreciate the Quarterback Club very much. That is going to be cool. That is a great opportunity for you to see what I talk about with that Quarterback Club. It's awesome. You'll have a great time, I promise you. I'll even buy you a drink. How about that? You join the Quarterback Club, I'll buy you a drink. That's the kind of guy I am. All right, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am. Oh, I didn't thank Jared. Thanks, Jared. I'm out of here.